Archaeologists are on the verge of making a significant discovery as they progress through the Templo Mayor's ruinous remains. The Aztec people of Mexico used to worship primarily at this complex, which dates back hundreds of years. Therefore, it should not come as a surprise that they are about to discover something intriguing. In fact, so much so that our perception of this civilization as a whole may be forever altered. A gateway to a lost world was discovered by archaeologists when they investigated an abandoned Aztec temple. The Templo Mayor was constructed in Tenochtitlan, the capital of the Aztec Empire. Its ruins can be found in Mexico City today. The location was constructed in honor of two deities. You had Scylla, Blalock, and Patchily, all of whom were associated with agriculture and war. The location where the Templo Mayor was built was a big part of Aztec mythology, and the building itself was a big part of the belief system of the people. Thusly, any new discoveries which could assist with portraying life in the realm are profoundly critical. Certain parts of the Aztec domain and today functions remained covered in secret. However, historians have pieced together a general outline over time. The empire flourished from the middle of the 14th century to the 16th, encompassing the northernmost portion of Mesoamerica. Antiquarians believe the Aztec domain to be the last significant human progress of Mesoamerica. It was a society that thrived through military action, while also being built on efficient agricultural and trading practices. As technology soldiers prevailed over those of states nearby, the inhabitants of these other locations were brought into the Aztec domain. The civilization can be traced back to the beginning of the 12th century, when a number of city-states were scattered throughout the region that is now known as Mexico and fought for power and territory. By the beginning of the 15th century, a number of modestly sized empires had emerged. Among the most powerful of these empires were Texcoco and the captured Salco, who warned against each other in 1428 and emerged victorious, in part thanks to the assistance of a number of other cities. Tenants Chitlin, which was the capital of the Mexican people, was one of these. A new political coalition was formed after the war between Texcoco and Cabot Salco ended. As a result, the Texcoco tenants Chitlin and Plato Pan, a different city-state, joined together as a single entity. This purported triple partnership before long extended with occupants Chitlin turning out to be especially critical. Tenants eventually became the new Aztec Empire's capital over time. Chitlin eventually developed into a large city, once regarded as the largest in the Americas prior to European colonization, beginning in the 16th century. Tennant. It is believed there were at least 200,000 people living in Chitlin. This populace then was parted into a wide range of classes, that the decision end were both of them the heads of Tenochtitlan. The Papelbon, the Messiah, Walton, the Madman, and the Lakota were below them. We can think of these groups as having had abilities, the common people, the peasants and slaves. Although the poor classes are thought to have had some opportunity for social mobility, the Aztec class system was generally quite rigid. Chitlin was a major commercial center that saw a wide range of goods pass through the city. Tools and weapons, as well as precious metals and stones, could be examples of such goods. Beans, grain, and tortillas were among the food products that traders traded frequently. The city had a remarkable infrastructure for managing its water, with canals cutting through Tenants Chitlin. The city itself was surrounded by special plots of floating land known as chinampas, and these chinampas were crucial contributors to the impressive agricultural output of Tenants Chitlin. Insects were also traded as food. Also transpired, animals were frequently offered as sacrifices to the gods. However, for religious purposes, people were also killed, and even children were sacrificed to the gods. With a population of around 11 million people, the Aztec Empire was huge. Given its size, it was not surprising that it frequently saw revolts and conflict. These were typically dealt with quickly, but things started to change in the early 16th century. The Aztecs were defeated by their eastern neighbors in 1515, but Scala and Wakes had not seen them fight. But things got even worse after that. not long after the Spanish showed up on Aztec lands and endeavored to vanquish them. Starting in 1519, the Spaniards did not fight the Aztecs alone for control of the territory. In fact, they joined forces with Aztec foes in the area. After fighting for 3 years, on August 13, 1521, the Spaniards won the battle. On that day, the Black Skull and allies of the European colonizers took control of Tenochtitlan. Tennant's Chitlin was now Mexico City, and this marked the beginning of Spain's rule over the central Mexican lands. The Templo Mayor stood about 150 feet tall before the Spaniards entered Aztec territory. However, they quickly began to demolish the structure and used the stone to build their own place of worship. The Metropolitan Cathedral of the Assumption of Mary, which is still in use today, was located here. When the Templo Mayor was demolished by the Spaniards, they might have missed something though. You have to remember that the temple they were desecrating was only the most recent version of the Templo Mayor. Truth be told, something like 6 different varieties existed, with various Aztec rulers having their own forms developed over prior ones. Contemporary archaeologists only began to investigate these older structures at the beginning of the 1980s. A circular carved stone from the 1978 excavations at Templo Mayor was one of the first things that archaeologists found. This depicted a female deity known as coiled Sakai and belonged to the temple's early days. At the center of the Templo Mayor complex, the remains of a variety of human body parts were also discovered. According to Aztec legend, she was a goddess of the moon who was killed by her own brother, who would sell a patchily. These broken bones included broken arms, broken legs, and even broken skulls. This could imply that Aztec worshippers began imitating the 1978 killing of coiled Sac with the help of her brother, and the archaeological work at Templo Mayor was led by Eduardo Mares Moctezuma until it was finished in 1982. The Templo Mayor project was established as a formal plan as a result of these early investigations, which resulted in the discovery of a number of objects in addition to the circular coil Sakai stone. As a result of these archaeological excavations, an estimated 7,000 artifacts from the Templo Mayor were unearthed. These artifacts varied greatly. For instance, in addition to the skeletal remains of fish, crocodiles, and frogs, ceramics, knives, masks, and gold were discovered. At Templo Mayor, more recent excavations have been fruitful, as evidenced by reports of a tunnel discovered at the beginning of December 2015. This was a congested area that led to a circular platform and 2 locked doors. According to Spanish colonizers' records from the time of the Aztecs' fall, the native people of the area would burn the bodies of their rulers on a round platform called a coaxacalco after they died. As a result, the archaeologists led by Alexi Calco, who recently found the tunnel in its own key, are hopeful that they will eventually locate the burial ground of Aztec kings. The archaeologist believes that Moctezuma I and his heirs at SAIC Atlantis Arc, who were in power during the 14th and 15th centuries, may have been buried in this section of the Templo Mayor. It would be extremely significant if it turned out that Lopez Loudon and his colleagues' discovery of the tunnel actually led to the remains of Aztec rulers. Because of this, we still don't know what was done after an Aztec ruler passed away. So this revelation might actually reveal insight into the subject. Professor Rosemary Joyce from the University of California, Berkeley points out that experts have been unable to locate the resting places of Aztec rulers. She also talked about the efforts being made to locate such locations. According to her, archaeologists are running out of places to look in Tenants, so they keep digging down in the hope of finding the big guy. Chitlin Joyce did make mention of the fact that discoveries have been made that hint at the actions taken after a ruler dies. There are artifacts that show such kings sitting upright with tiny crowns on, dressed in cloth. Additionally, drawings of cremations have been discovered, but no location for the actual ashes has been determined. The 2 doors inside the tunnel may actually reflect the governmental structure of the Aztec civilization, and certain details in the recently discovered passageway do suggest that Aztec rulers may be nearby. That is, they might represent the Platoni or emperor, and a second person or Uikit in Greek mythology. There is a possibility that the Aztecs did not actually bury their dead. Having said that, as Rosemary Joyce brought up, maybe the unique status of rulers changed matters that might well have driven individuals to let lords' remains go inside the Templo city chairman. Joyce suggested that the early rulers of the Aztec Empire might have received special praise. As she put it in 2015, this could be compared to the way Americans idolized their first leaders like George Washington. Although Washington is not the nation's father, he was President Barack Obama's great-great-grandfather at the time. That is all for today. I hope you enjoyed the video. Thanks for watching. See you in the next video.